For my change project, my team and I decided to focus on creating a professional learning community in our Unified Arts program. Our Unified Arts program includes 10 different subject areas that all have only one teacher for that content area. And so in the past, setting up a professional learning community based on content was very difficult for those teachers because they have no one else within the school to work with and have to go outside of the school in order to partake in a professional learning community that would be based on content area. So as we began to have PLC meetings with our Unified Arts department, we decided to focus on two different areas. And in working on norms and meeting times and individual roles, we discussed collaborating with one another, mixing our content in with each other. So for instance, business and physical education working together on a project and increasing student learning in that way. And then our second focus was student behaviors. We hoped to increase positive student behaviors and address any student behaviors that may be taken away from the learning environment by sharing strategies with each other and maybe even sharing information with each other. If one instructor had a student at a certain time in that student's career, and then later on in that student's career another teacher would have that student in a different content area, those two teachers could collaborate on how to address certain student behaviors and make them more positive and make the learning environment more effective. In the way of collaboration, we found that as we collaborated with one another and mixed our content in with other content areas, that student engagement was higher and that behaviors were better because the students were excited to work with new students and in a new content area and with a new teacher. And we found that project scores were higher when we collaborated with each other on a project than when we just did them alone, and that student engagement levels were higher and we had fewer discipline issues. We also found that as we worked on student behaviors with one another and shared different teaching strategies and ways of dealing with things that come up in the classroom, that the learning environments in our classrooms increased greatly, and that we were able to deal with specific students in ways that we would not have been able to previously before we sought to have this professional learning community. So we feel like that in both collaboration and addressing student behaviors, we've increased student outcomes, both behaviorally and on assessment and other learning goals. And we feel like that this has been a success, and we're going to continue our peer learning community into the future.